Yeah, Roper never knew what hit him. I'm sure he probably almost took pretty much a direct hit, because it hit pretty well. He was, I want to say decapitated, but I hate to use that because people get kind of shook up. That's kind of tough language to use.
Well, combat.
I saw it though, so
I'm sorry that you had to see that.
I've seen Germans with their whole belly cut open by one of our tanks, their whole guts. Guy actually holding his own guts in, and they're kind of carrying him along. I've seen guys on a motorcycle, machine gun right off the street, and I haven't mentioned it yet, but when we took the big city on the Rhine River, the city of Mainz, boy, I don't know, somebody was watching over me that day, because I came pretty close to not making it there, but I got hit in the shoe, and that was it. But I saw lots of stuff there that day that. Pretty soon we began seeing artillery pieces here and there, and start seeing some trucks and so forth. And I thought, man, where's our 7-week training coming in? We pulled into a little village. Didn't you know where we were? Pulled in a little village. We were actually in Germany. Didn't know it at all. But we pulled in, saw the dragon's teeth. And I thought, what is this? And the truck pulled up muddy streets. It was muddy. The streets were all full of mud. The truck stopped. He said, "You 3 guys get off." So 3 of us got off the truck. He said, "See that church over there? Go sit in that church." He said, "When it gets dark, some guy will come and get you." That's kind of odd. 3 of us. We walk over there, crawled in that church. We sat in the front pew. And it was so damaged you could see out the side, you could see out through the roof. It had been either artillery shell or something had torn the thing apart. But we sat there on the front pew there, and I thought, well, we better get acquainted. So I asked the guy next to me, "What's your name?" "My name's Robert Roper." I said, "Where are you from?" He said, "I'm from California." I said, "So am I." He said, "Well, I'm from L.A." And I said, "Well, I'm from Fresno." Nobody knew where Reedley was. I said, "I'm from Fresno." "Oh." And the other guy said, "What's your name?" And I noticed he was older. He wore glasses, real thick glasses. He said, "My name's Irving Wigton." I said, "Where are you from?" "Well," he said, "I'm from Colorado." And he says, "I got transferred into this. I'm serving in the Air Corps. Now I'm with you guys." And I said, "Really?" And he said, "I don't see too well." And I could see the thick glasses. I thought, why is he up here? We had to use our eyeballs to fire that rifle. But then, looking back, they needed help so bad. They needed warm bodies so bad. They took anything that could walk at that time. And I thought, still didn't know nothing. We sat in that church and kind of got acquainted. 3 of us sitting there. Started to get dark. We could hear artillery shells coming over. And I thought, we gotta be up pretty close. We start talking about we must be up there where we must be near Germany. We still didn't know where we were. Nobody told us nothing. Finally, a guy walked in there. He says, "Hi guys," and he says, "I want you to follow me." He said, "I don't want nobody talking." It was already dark. So he said, "Just stick right with me." Walked out of that church, and I began to feel the ground was kind of rough. We were walking by a cemetery right by the church. Walked out, and I began to feel the rough ground. I thought, man, this must be a pasture or some. We're out on the side of a hill. We're walking, and this guy named Wigton, he said, "Schmidt, I can't see. I can't see." I said, "Grab my belt." This poor guy could not see in the dark. He hung onto my belt, and I actually pulled him along out, and we got out. We're walking down in the dark out there, and the guy said, "No word, shut up." And pretty soon I hear him stop. Two guys exchanged a password. Password then was like two names, like the popular movie stars, okay, like Marilyn Monroe. That could be a password. One guy would say Marilyn, the other guy would, if he knew, he would say Monroe. The guy knew, hey, you guys are part of me. So you had to use two words. I heard them exchange them. So the guy took us down, kind of down a hill there, and all of a sudden I heard a kind of a squeaking, sound like an iron door opening up. We were side of a hill, a mountain like. This door opened up. Follow me. We walk inside. We're inside of a big room about the size of this building right here. Cement sides, cement top, no lights, no ventilation. I see water running down the sides of the wall there. I thought, what in the world is this? Turned out to be a German bunker. We called them pillboxes, okay? I learned right away, we got to be very close. We crawled in there, and there's no light except there's a wine bottle in the middle of the room with a sock inside and a little light. There was gasoline in this little wine bottle, and that was our light. You could see it flickering there. And the guy in charge there was a staff sergeant. He said, hey guys, just make yourself at home. Put your stuff there and kind of make yourself at ease. He says, my name is Sergeant Mueller. I'm the squad leader here. You're in E Company, 358 Infantry Regiment of the 90th Infantry Division. I welcome you. And he says, we're in the 3rd Army. We're serving under General Patton. Wow, a whole mouthful, and all of a sudden, we're a part of an outfit. We're finally with an infantry outfit. And he says, make yourself feel comfortable here. He says there was about 6 other guys in there, and he introduced us to them, and we're sitting in there, and he says, well, we jump off at 6 in the morning. I thought to myself, I'm not going to ask him what that means, but what in the world, what does jump off at 6? Well, we half slept, I'd say. But at 6 o'clock, everybody outside, line up. We're outside. Man, I said, we're on the side of a hill. Where are we? He let us know we were in the Siegfried line. And he says, we're gonna head off. We got to clear out these pillboxes. I thought, boy, we're in combat. You get hard to hear. You could hear the artillery shells coming over, and I thought, wow, muddy everything, mud around every place. And off we go. I said, wait a minute. I said, I got my girlfriend's picture in there, my razors in there, my toothbrushes in there. We're probably coming back here, aren't we? He looked at me, boy, here's a green guy. He said, the only way we're coming back is if you come back in a wounded or we get pushed back. Boy. He said, if you want anything, you better get it in there quick and get it because we're moving out. Boy, I had an overcoat on. I had rubber galoshes over my boots. I walked down there and crawled in that thing again, found my barracks bag. I pulled out my girlfriend's picture, which is on over there and there, and I better take a razor. I got to shave. I better get a toothbrush, and I said, well, my fountain pen's in here too. So I grabbed. That was about it. Stuffed it in my pocket and come back up there. He said, let's go. We start walking. Pretty soon I hear something like, I said, man, this must be a tank or something coming up. Sure enough, 2 tanks came up there, and actually the guy said, we'll follow those tanks, and they're supporting us today. And it was cold. It was cold. I had this overcoat on, shivering there. And I walked behind this tank. I could see the exhaust. I stood behind there, man, I've been hot. It was a diesel engine. Some of the early tank destroyers, called the M10, had a diesel engine in it. I stood behind there a while. I said, man, that feels good. Nice and hot. And I had driven enough trucks where I knew if you stood behind the exhaust pipe, then it was nice and warm. The guy said, get away from there. He says, those Germans know exactly where those tanks are. That's what they're going to zero in on. He says, get away from that tank. So anyway, we following this tank, and we're starting to clear out these pillbox. Every time we came to a pillbox, we had to go inside and check it out, make sure the Germans were gone. And I thought, man, this is, I can hardly walk with these big old rubber galoshes on and a great big old overcoat hanging clear down, carrying a rifle. I thought, this is real. And pretty soon we heard, guys hit the ground. Somebody had seen us, the Germans. They knew exactly where we were. They were there probably the day before. So we were slowly, I realized, we're slowly pushing the Germans eastward day by day. Pretty tough going. I thought, wonder where we're going to sleep tonight. Well, we got into the woods, and again, the Germans opened up a machine gun on us, and we had to hit the dirt again. Finally, we had to move back into the woods again. There we began to find German foxholes, already dug. My whole time in combat, I dug one foxhole. Being we pushed the Germans exactly where they were, they actually brought slave laborers along to dig their own foxholes. Nice ones, big 3-man foxhole, nice, dug nice and deep. You could crawl in, had logs on top of them, dirt and leaves. You felt pretty comfortable in there. So here we were, right into German foxholes. And they would lob in mortars or whatever. I had one land as close as you and I are together right here. Landed right there, exploded, but it was a dud. So all it did was throw dirt all over me. Never exploded, or I wouldn't be sitting here talking today. And I thought, somebody must have done something to make that thing a dud. And pretty soon artillery shell would land nearby, didn't explode. That's odd. But boy, their machine guns and their automatic weapons were right on. And on my 9th day of combat, the three of us, were the only ones we knew each other, because we'd spent almost a whole day getting acquainted. So we tried to dig in together because we felt we could comfort one another. Roper and I start digging together or getting in foxholes together because I knew him and he's from L.A., okay? So I feel I know him better than I know Wigton. But Wigton would dig in with someone else. On my 9th day, my squad leader came to me and he said, Schmidt, I didn't even know his name. He said, Schmidt, he said, I want you to take my radio. He said, I'm sending Markham back to the rear to have a few days rest. He said, you're going to carry his walkie-talkie. Wherever I go, you follow me. And I thought, wow, what am I going to do about Roper here? He's my buddy. He said, Roper and Wigton they'll be together. You follow me. So I take this walkie-talkie. It looked like about the size of a loaf of bread. And battery operated, about 75% efficient. Sometimes when you needed it, the battery was dead. But anyway, I carried that walkie-talkie radio. And we started to one direction. He said, Roper and Wigton, dig in. You follow me, Schmidt. He found one big German foxhole. He crawled in that and he said, you crawl in here with me. It was just I could hear the other guys digging. Our squad was digging in on the side of this hill. And in about 10 minutes, the Germans had figured out right where we were. They might have heard us digging, or somebody might have seen us, or whatever. But 2 artillery shells came in. They were called tree bursts. They could time them to explode up in the air, and they would explode up there and just send down their just red hot shrouds of metal. And one shell came down, and I should say maybe both of them came down at the same time, or one right behind the other. Killed both of these guys. Roper was killed instantly, never knew what hit him. Wigton, I heard him holler, "Medic, medic," and then he dropped. He died within, I say, 10 seconds. 2 of them both dead. Then he brought a guy in to the foxhole. Medic brought him in. He said, "Help me get this guy patched up so we can send him to the rear." My 10th day of combat, I'm shaking like a leaf. He said, "Help me get this guy." And he had blood all over one leg. So he said, "Help me cut his pants off." So we cut the pants off, and his leg, he had a wound about 5 or 6 inches long. There was no meat there, just blood just spurting out. And so we had to help him stop the blood. He was starting to pass out. And he gave him some medication there to kind of make him kind of drift off into a half sleep motion like that. Poor guy, he was bleeding like everything. Then I looked down on his boot. The heel of his boot was totally gone. It was bleeding down there. The heel of his foot was taken completely off. He was bleeding there. So we had to stop the bleeding. I helped this poor medic, was just frantic, trying to make sure this guy was sedated enough to ease the pain and also put him in kind of a relaxed mood. And I thought, wow, this is right here. We're right there where it's all happening. And we got him fixed up, ready to evacuate. And the sergeant called me. He says, "Hey, Schmidt," he said, "take the radio and your rifle and go down the hill and bring the captain up here." And I thought, shouldn't the officer be leading us? He said, "Go down and get the captain. He's down in that barn down there where we formed up." So I'm heading down this hill, and lo and behold, if I didn't, I heard something. We had already been accustomed to one of the rockets that the Germans have. It's called a screaming Mimi. It fired 6 rockets, and they sounded like a siren. And we learned already that after all 6 of them firing, the first one, if it went past you, all other 5 would land beyond that first one. Well, I heard the first one come over, and I thought to myself, I'm not sure where that one landed, whether it was on my right or my left. So I hit the dirt, and the next one came over right behind it, and it went a little bit farther. And so I thought, well, I guess I can get up. So I got up and cleared down to 6. Every time one whizzed over, I was so scared. That's on my 10th day of combat. I hit the dirt each time, and time I got down to the barn, there was a captain standing there waiting for me. He says, "Let me see your rifle." It was the whole front end of the rifle, the first 6 or 8 inches, solid mud. Boy, he bawled me out. He says, "Hey, private, with a weapon like that, you can't fire at the enemy. It's got mud." He said, "You don't take your rifle and dump it in the mud." Well, he didn't know that he didn't see me when I was falling down up there. But anyway, he said, "What do you want?" I said, "Well, we've had some casualties up there." I said, "The sergeant wants to see you." He said, "Where is he at?" I said, "He's up there in a foxhole." And he said, I pointed out to where it was. And he said, he saw how we went up around a draw where the enemy couldn't see us. I came right down where the enemy could see me, because that was the shortest way. So he said, I showed him where they were up on top of the hill. So he walks over to the side, and I said, "I'm going back up the way I came." I said, "That's a short distance." I get up there and the sergeant, where's the captain? I said, he's coming. I said, he's coming around the back way. So he gets up there. And I thought, this is, I thought to myself, if this guy's a leader, why isn't he there? But I found out after about a few weeks of combat that we didn't have a real leader. One day he's not with us anymore. And I thought, wonder what happened. They sent us another captain. They found out that this guy was not a leader. He was a follower. So we didn't see him anymore. Later on, he became an executive officer, but we got a new guy, and he was right up there with us. So, boy, you get a baptism of fire in a hurry like that, and then you learn that, I learned quickly that it must be us guys, the privates, the corporals, and the sergeants, that actually get the job done. So that was my 10th day of combat.
I really appreciate you sharing that story. I just have a few follow-up questions. Can you tell us more about the 88s coming in?
Oh, okay.
How far, were you from Roper and Wington, and what did you see?
Okay. When I realized that these two guys had been killed, actually another one, we had a machine gunner attached to us that same day from H Company, because Easy Company didn't carry the 30 caliber machine gun. H Company was a heavy weapon, so we had H Company supporting us, and a fellow by the name of Eastep. Took me 70 years to find his son, but I found his son in the East Coast, and we have talked together and written together and so forth. Told him about his father being killed. He said, you're the only guy in 70 years to ever call me and talk to me about my father. So, but his name was Eastep, Artis Eastep from H Company. And those three guys were killed, and if there was any other ones wounded, I wasn't aware of it other than the one they brought in to this pillbox. But Roper and Wigton were probably maybe between 15 and maybe 15, 20 feet away from me when they were killed. A terrible day, my 10th day. Boy, I knew I was in combat then, because I walked off that hill without either one of these fellas. As I said, Roper, I finally found part of his family in LA years later. Had to be a dysfunctional family. They could care less that I was talking to them about their person that was killed. So I figured they were kind of dysfunctional. And then I found Wigton. Wigton's family actually found me about close to about 10 or 15 years ago. And his younger brother, who was a dentist, lives in Colorado, found me through the book and then through a telephone call. And like I say, I walked off that hill by myself, so to speak.